Harper Perennial and Harper Audio present Detective Aunty, a novel by Uzma Jalaluddin, performed by Deepti Gupta. For my mother-in-law Fawzia, who loves a good mystery, and my mom Azmat, who introduced me to Agatha Christie, and to all the aunties launching their second act, I see you. Prologue. Every soul shall taste death. Imran remembered the line from a childhood lesson with his mother. The words, quoted from the Quran, had meant nothing to him as a 6-year-old boy. Back then, his thoughts had only fixed on the idea of tasting death as if it were a flavor, and from there had wandered to what snack he might sneak from the kitchen. Now, nearly 50 years later, far from his childhood home in India, he knew death did have a taste, and that it was metallic and harsh in his mouth. It was accompanied by panic, desperation, and finally, a preternatural calm. He knew where he was and what was happening. He had tried to save himself in those last, final moments when movement and action were still possible. Now, he lay awkwardly sprawled on the floor, body heavy and numb, as darkness dimmed the edges of his vision. There was a sudden flash of pain as something shifted in the center of his chest, replaced by another, duller sensation. Imran wanted to roar, to rail against the unfairness. His father had died an old man, surrounded by family. Didn't he deserve the same? More footsteps nearby, and then a weight pushed against him. It wouldn't be long now. Already, the darkness had grabbed hold, and he sensed a shadowy figure waiting for him, trailing ghostly fingers on his face and over his body. He had never believed in an afterlife, despite his mother's stories. For the first time, he thought of the judgment he had been taught to expect in the grave, the angels who would sit on his chest and mete out punishment, pain, or peace. His body spasmed, and the cold made him shiver one final time. He knew what he deserved, and the thought made him rage, made him long to hurt. With his last breath, he spoke his final words. The footsteps stopped abruptly, rooted to the spot. Finally, the captive audience he'd wanted. Imran Thakur died with a faint smile on his lips, pleased he had left the world a slightly worse place than he had found it. Chapter 1. The second worst phone call of Kausar Khan's life came in the middle of an ordinary morning, knocking her world into a new direction entirely. 16 months had passed since Hassan's pancreatic cancer diagnosis, nearly a year since her husband's death, and she woke with no premonition of the chaos to come. But if there was one thing Kausar had learned in her 57 years, it was to beware moments of tranquility. She was on the phone for 23 seconds and afterwards sat staring at nothing. The familiar, solid furniture in her neat sitting room faded into the background. The plush recliner, where Hassan had spent the first few weeks after his diagnosis. The stone fireplace they vowed to use every winter, but never had. The cream-colored fabric couch she had slumped back into. The solid wood coffee table, where her rapidly cooling chai sat next to a stack of Agatha Christie paperbacks, her and her late husband's favorite. Though he had complained, she always guessed the identity of the murderer too easily. The large, airy room, which Kausar had decorated in beige and deep blue when they had first moved into the tidy bungalow 17 years ago, now felt oppressive as she tried to make sense
Sample complete. Ready to continue?